your attention. Excellent. I need your attention for this one. Obviously, I'm going to do this. Alright. Well, that's something we'll do a little bit later. Alright, so really quickly, I'm going to just recap what we're doing today. It's going to be a little bit different. Well, it's not. It's kind of the same, but it's going to require, ladies, it's going to require trust and dedication from you all that I know already have. So, before we begin, quick recap, obviously, from last class. You know I love the recaps. We talked about one main topic, I guess, which was what exactly?
The church.
The church, yeah. And when we say the church, what are we referring to? Not just the building. Here is, what's that song? Here is the, and here is the steeple. You know?
Oh yeah, and here are the people.
And here are the people. Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about 10 seconds of what I'm talking. Yeah. So when we talk about the church,
we need like
ladies and gentlemen, for Reese's sake, obviously he was away, so please be clear. Steph.
Everyone in the church and people that run it program.
Yeah, so I guess we're talking about religion. Yes? Okay. Now guys, obviously when we talk about religion, it's one of those tricky little subjects. Yes, Ronan? Thank you very much. Say that 10 times fast. Don't say it now. Obviously guys, when we talk about religion, this is probably just a little, what's it called? Put it at the start of something, preamble. I don't know what we're calling you.
Prologue.
No, pre-something. I'll figure it out later.
Prequel.
Anyway, we don't know what the word is. So, Nick. So, obviously, we're talking about religion for a little bit here. Now, religion is one of those things that they say, you know, you should never talk about religion and politics because everyone has an opinion on these things, and that's fine. So, when I'm talking about religion, alright, I'm going to be referring to 1066. I'm going to be referring to that timeline, alright? Obviously, things are a lot different back then, okay? So, when I talk about religion, and we're going to be listening to a few things over the next couple of days, where these people, it's their opinion, okay, or it's the opinion of a few people. So if you disagree with what we talk about, that's cool. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying this is religion back then, and this is what we're looking at, okay? So that's my little disclaimer. Bang, that's what I wanted. All right, so I'm talking about religion. I'm talking about back then. Obviously, people in this room, no doubt, will have their own religious beliefs, and that is cool beans. That's fine. All right, but we're going to look at it as a whole, all right, and we're going to talk about it, not in terms of right or wrong, or yes or no, or it's true or it's not true. We're not talking about it like that. We're talking about it in terms of the reasons why. You know, why did people have these religious beliefs? What was the purpose of it, okay? What were the cause and what were the effects? That's more important when we talk about religion. We're not saying that this religion is correct and this one is wrong, okay? Because we're going to be talking about that stuff soon. So, is everyone cool with that? Yeah, you know when I talk about this kind of stuff, you know, that's what we're talking about. Alright, I studied religion for a long time, so I'm not trying to be disrespectful to said religion, because I'm sure we've probably got about 4 or 5 in this room. But anyway, let's move on. So, yes, we talked about the church. What do we talk about in particular in that time frame with religion and with the church, Clay?
That they were really powerful because they got heaps of money and land.
Yes, why do they get heaps of money and land though?
It's because rich people still wanted to do things that were not right by the church.
Yeah.
But still didn't want to go to hell.
Yeah, so we talked about...
They pay the church.
They pay the church. Oh, I listened back to the video I recorded yesterday. My voice is so ridiculously loud. So, you guys are going to have to be loud with me so I can then level that volume out. So yes, we talked about the church. So we talked about the church. We talked about the fact that back then, you know, the church were the guys that actually had education and they could read and write and they could do that kind of stuff. And most people couldn't. So they would say these things about God and about the way the world was, alright, and most people, these peasants and the kings as well, because they weren't educated, like you young fine people are, because they weren't educated, they just believed this stuff blindly, okay? They had no other way, they just had to believe it, because they couldn't read, they couldn't write, they didn't know about other things, other ideas, alright, so they said, yep, that's all true. And so what the church would do is they would kind of really push their values on people, and they would say things like, well, you know, if you do something wrong, you're going straight to hell, nothing you can do about it. If you lie, you go straight to hell, nothing you can do about it. Alright? But there was something you could do about it, and what could you do about it? You could give them some cash. Okay? And so what would happen is the kings back then, who again, even as a king, some of these kings weren't educated, they would pay a lot of money to the church to kind of forgive them of their sins, and the church became kind of all powerful. So that's what we talked about. That's where we ended up. All right, and then we summed it up. I'll take 2 questions, and then we summed it up. Yep.
I forgot to ask yesterday, but
Yes, fine.
when you do like something against the church, they say like, you'd go to hell.
Yep.
Like what? Because we know that's not true. Would you like get like a penalty or something? Like would you be fined if you did obey them? Like disobey them? Sorry. Like
No, because that's the thing. You were going to hell. You were fine as nothing.
Yeah,
like you just tried not to obey.
So we could go back there and just tell them everything we know now, just like completely stuff them up.
Yeah, but they would probably burn you at the stake or something like that. You know what I mean? Like you would have been a one-off.
What if they went there with guns?
Wouldn't
Yeah.
wouldn't you think
How?
that wouldn't you think that there'd be someone that's like, well, hey, what if these guys aren't telling the truth? What if
That's an awesome segue, Ashley. Which we go into in a few days' time. So Ash basically said, hey, whoa, what happens if some guy comes around and says, you know what? That's not true. That doesn't make any sense.
That's what I meant.
And there is, and there was, and we're actually going to look at him, and he's actually right here as well in this podcast that I'm listening to, and I'm going to get some stuff out of there for you. There was a guy, and I'm guessing nobody knows his name.
Is it Derek Collins?
No, that's the guy who's doing the podcast. No, we will talk about him later. Should I tell you the name? Should I tell you the guy?
Yes.
Alright, so this guy's name was, so if you want to do some of your own little revision before then, we had a little guy called Martin Luther came along. And this is not I Had a Dream Martin Luther. Alright, this is Martin Luther number 1. A long time ago. Alright, he did something that we'll talk about. I don't want to spoil any more of it. But yes, that's an awesome question. Anyway, so we looked at that. Another thing that we did really quickly is I got you to obviously answer
You have too many tabs.
that one. Okay, where I wanted you to put in your response. We did a pick, pair, share. You worked together. You shared. Your results were really good. As we look down here, all right, let's have a quick read through a couple of these. So the question was obviously, why do you believe religion played such a large part in people's lives, and why would they follow it so strongly? And the Blues Clues is there because of Luke. So let's see what Izzy says. I think religion played such a huge part of people's lives because they hadn't discovered science, and they believed in God was so powerful. I believe that people would have followed religion so strongly because they hadn't learned anything else. All right, cool. Jared and Alicia, we think the reason religion played such a strong part of people's lives is because the people back then had no real education. Boom, yeah, we'll keep going. This is from Tess and Mitch. Religion played a large part in people's lives because they had no knowledge. The peasants were uneducated and poor, they were illiterate and had no other explanation of why the sun rose in the morning. That's a good quote, you got that from someone. Why people died and how we got on earth, blah, blah, blah. When they questioned these things, they turned to the church had all the answers. Good one! Alright, they turned to someone who wanted to give them answers. The church gave them answers. It was God. Alright, excellent, that's why they believe this is good stuff. This is really good stuff. Did you enjoy that little task that we did? I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, I thought it was cool. Believed in God because they didn't know any better, they didn't know how the sun. Yes. Wow, looks like I've imparted some quotes. Really played a large part of people's lives. They followed through because they knew nothing else, meaning that they grew up with religion. That's a good one. They grew up with religion. They didn't know what science was and why they were religious. That's a good one. I like that. They grew up with religion. You know, that's a thing. You know that we have these days as well. You know, like. If your parents are Muslim and you're born, you're now Muslim. Booyah. Okay? If your parents were Christian, you're Christian. You know, if your parents were Jewish, you're Jewish. You have no say at all. It's like your footy teams. You see the little 1-year-olds, you know, in their footy colours, and they're like, hey, go Carlton. You're like, why? Oh, Daddy does. You know, like, you don't. It's true. And this is the funny thing with religion. Like, you know, you don't really have a choice in a lot of cases. If you're Catholic, it's because you're Catholic. You know? Obviously, as you move on, you can make choices and you can change your religion. But it's a really funny thing. And then when we talk about the Crusades, you're going to see why these people fought over this choice that a lot of people didn't really have. You know, or it's a cool one. I really like that. They grew up with religion. I like it. Excellent. Then we had some weird thing with going on there, and a couple I had to delete. I think you left yours open and people started using it. Religion plays such a large role in the Middle Ages because it was the reasoning for why the world was this and that. I like that. It was the only thing that they could believe because the public couldn't read or write. So yeah, so we kind of all are on the same page there. Ash, sorry?
one with Barry, that's with me as well, it just didn't say so.
Oh, that's okay, cool.
Just didn't want to
So I'll go through these later. But we're kind of all on the same page, aren't we, ladies and gentlemen, with religion? Back then, they didn't know any better. They didn't have education like you young people do, so they believed what they were told by the smarter people, I guess you could say, which was the church. They could read and write. Excellent. That's really, really good. Or if we want to sum that up, ooh, look at me. Let's go back to that one. This was your. So then we're going to obviously cut this down into 6 seconds. And so, like I said here, the point was doing this was to make you think about your responses a little bit differently and cut them down to one small bite-sized piece. Not speed them up, alright, but be able to go, alright, I wrote all of this, okay, but here is my argument. This is pretty much my central argument, and you could do that in 6 seconds. That was the goal. Let's see if we hit that goal.
Not really. Goal.
Yes.
Not the first one.
Oh.
Everyone shush. Shh.
Church people were educated, they used to
People didn't understand how things worked, so they created something that explained it.
No.
Ralph was black. Mine's X.
The only thing people could believe back then, and they couldn't believe anything else because they couldn't read or write.
No one in medieval times can have worlds decided to live in the central figure of God.
That was good.
Explanations for exactly day-to-day life. Besides candles, they have other explanations.
Religion was taught to them since birth, and also they didn't have science to disprove anything.
They knew nothing else. They weren't.
Look at that guy, say, go.
I think that religion plays a
So
big
annoying.
part in where they have to go to bed and believe in God and their past.
And they were told God was real. They were basically stupid.
Basically stupid.
Also, they were
Summed it up in.
religion plays such a big society, but that society because there's no one else in life. I can't do anything sentence.
It's like, just, yeah, I'll just take that, it's fine.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you very much. Okay, so that was last class. This is what we're doing today, ladies and gentlemen. This is where I'm going to do that silly thing which I do all the time and give you freedom and trust, and let's see how it works out. Alright. What? What was the series? Yeah, I know. Crazy. So, this is what we're going to do. We talked about the church in your books. Okay, now, listen up please, it's important, I'm going to say it once. Some people will say with me if I don't think they can do this. Clay. So, chapter 2, I guess you could say, is now talking about the Crusades. Now, what I have in here, this is why I've done this.
It's all about drips.
I have, the videos are embedded obviously, images are embedded, you can watch these videos, you can look at these images. I've got a fair bit of information in here. Now the point is, some of you might read this and really get into it. Some of you might go, you know what, I actually don't get that. I'll watch the video instead. Some of you might actually skip that altogether and have a look at this, alright, where I've got other types of information.
That's so nice.
Again here as well, alright. Couple more videos, this one's a little bit silly but it's there anyway. Alright. And then finally what I've got is your question, which is this one here, alright? This is a bit of a thinking question. Now, this is what we're going to do. Because you have all these resources in your book, because you can all work individually because you've got your own iPads, because you all work at different levels and at different speeds, alright? I'm not going to go through this one like I did yesterday. Remember how I went through it together, we did it over the board, we answered each other's questions, some group discussion, it was very nice. What I'm going to do, you're all going to go with this book in your iPad and you're going to go wherever you want, okay? As in, it's a nice day outside, let's just take it right now. You can head down to the croquet lawns, okay? You can head out on the veranda, you can stay in this room if you want to. You can go wherever you want, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, this is where that trust thing comes in right now. Okay, you can go wherever you want. Jordan, just chill for a sec. So, I have all the resources in here, alright, that will be able to help you in answering these questions, as well as a little bit of research on your own part. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. You're going to go off by yourselves, individually if you want to, or in small groups. You don't need to rely on each other per se because you've got your iPads, but I would like to see some discussion. You're going to go through this information in here. Alright? You're going to have a look at the videos, you're going to watch it. You're then going to get up to this question. Alright, now here is the question. I'm going to read it out to you to make sure we all understand it, so you can answer it. Okay? And same deal as last time, I'll send you the link to the blog, and you'll put your post on there. So, this is not going to make any sense because you haven't read any information, but the Crusades, like many wars, okay, were centered around religion and people's religious beliefs. This was a religious war. Like, let's face it, most wars. Okay, we can probably say that. Most wars generally can, well, not all of them. I mean, you've got things like the American Revolution and all that. Well, that's not religious too. So a lot of wars are religious wars. A lot of wars are also about oil, and we just put religion on top of it. Anyway, so there were three sides in this war that you're going to look at in a second. All right, there were three main sides. There were the Muslims of Jerusalem. Okay, so that's one religion. We've got Muslims. We've got the Christians from Europe, and we've got the Jews who are also in Jerusalem. Three different religions here. Okay, Muslims, Christians, Jews. Now, do you guys talk about religion in RE?
No.
Like this?
Yeah, it's all just about like loving everyone, like.
Okay, so you don't. So football.
Yes.
Really?
There's 2 movies about football.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Alright. So you don't talk about religion and compare why do Muslims do what they do, why do Christians do what they do.
No, that's like we're doing more like power.
Alright, so guys, if we're going to get through this quick, you're out of here. So three religions: Muslims, Christians, and Jews. 3 different religions. Okay? So what I want you to do is have a look, research the 3 sides that fought in the Crusades. There's three sides. Yep. Muslims, Christians, Jews. Alright, so you will need to find out, this is the key, guys. You will need to find out their history, their motivations, their actions, and if you feel that one side was more just. In other words, out of these 3 sides that were fighting, do you feel, and you might all be different here, do you feel that the reasons of one of these groups was more correct, or more real, or more accurate, or more worthy than the other 2? Okay, that's for you to decide. So, or were they all at fault, or should they all not be fighting? Okay, so everyone had a reason why. No one wants to fight in general. Hopefully, no one wants to try and kill an entire race of people. But hopefully, unless oil's involved.
Hitler.
Well, he had his beliefs. Okay, yeah, but he had his beliefs. This is the thing. Okay, he fought about beliefs, so he had a reason. I mean, he may have been a little bit crazy, but he had his beliefs. We may not agree with them, but he had his beliefs and he stuck with them. Okay, he fought for them. That's exactly what these 3 sides are doing. So, this is what you're doing. You're researching this. Obviously, you're going to read through the book, watch those videos, get an idea about the Crusades, what they were about. All right, do a bit of research on these 3 religions. Okay, I've got some information in here that I want to see in your response. All right, this will help guide you. So, this is what we've got. Were the Crusades only fought in the name of religion? Were they only for religion, or were there other reasons why they fought these battles? All right. Why is Jerusalem such an important city? That's going to be an easy one to figure out. Why would the people of Europe be so eager to fight in the Crusades? Why would you want to go off on a crusade? Who had the rightful claim to Jerusalem? Who owns Jerusalem back then? All right. And finally, make a timeline. That one we don't. I might actually get you to do that when we come back. The timeline one. So have a look at these 1, 2, 3, 4 points. Make sure they're in your response. Okay. I will send you around the link to the blog where you're going to put this information. Does that all make sense? So an easy one. Now, guys, again, deal of trust that I'm giving you right now. I am thinking in my little brain that I've given you all the resources. You've got them there. You've got the technology to do this. And if I let you go, and hopefully all work in your own way, not trapped in a classroom, stuck on these little tables, maybe outside in the sun. Some of you might want to stay in here, that's how you like to work. That's cool. That you will all be able to do this question and answer it. Well, agree?
Yeah.
Everyone smile and nod? Because I've got evidence, I've recorded that. Alright, Fred, and then we're out of here.
How long does it have to be?
As long as it takes for you to get your point across, Fred. If you're able to get your point across, that you talk about their 3 sides. You talk about why they fought. You talk about their motivations. You're able to answer those kind of 4 points in your response. I'd be thinking that would at least be a page. At least. You have rest of the session. Let's go. Wait, where's everyone going? Croquet lawn? Alright, why don't we all go to the croquet lawn? That'll make life easier for me and then we'll spread from there. Let's go. Excellent. Fred. Yes. Would you rather live inside? It's your call. I'm just looking at the sun. And it's been the first time in a long time that I've seen it. Bear in mind, the only trick with the croquet lawn is with your iPads. The glare can be pretty painful, as in it's hard to see. So, that's the only trick. Oh man, you stuff that iPad. Did you tell them what happened? Did you say what happened? Well, you're not really. What happened? What happened?
Yeah, well, I didn't restore it. I just installed the previous update.
Yeah, like I said, you can't do that. I told you that. You have to do it. Yeah, remember I said you had to ask them, that's really good, but you realize that you actually have to restore it.
I remember you saying that, but
How would you restore it?
Yeah, you do it.
it works now. I just need their backup because I did some things yesterday.
Put it down!
And then it's
But that's cool. What we'll do is I'll send you obviously the link where you can put this. So if you want to finish it up later tonight, where are you headed? Are you cool?
Hayward Hall.
Oh no, it's in now. Are you going now?
Yeah, I'm going down for Hayward.
Alright, cool. But yeah, that's the other thing about working outside the glare can be a bit of a Excellent. Alright, I'm gonna head out to croquet lawn.
I'm going to put iOS 7 on my iPod. I don't think I put it on my iPad, especially a school one.
What version is it? As in what version? It needs to be current. Yeah, it's going to be out in like 9 days. Just wait.
Really?
Yeah. September 10. They're doing.